pad is not spinning.
And
If it doesn't spin, it is not polishing.
says who?
Everyone!
I ask you one question. Bila kita polish kereta guna DA lah, itu pad mau pusing ke atau tak mau pusing?
Itu pad pusing baru boleh gosok mata lah, pusing macam mana? Ayo tak boleh cakap po, camera raw.
我哋用 DA 震機磨嗰陣時候 ，pad 愛轉或者唔愛轉？
唔愛轉都冇問題。
OK，pad kena pusing ke atau tak payah pusing?
Kalau kita polish pakai DA,
Pad dia kena pusing ke tak? Tak payah pusing.
kena pusing.
Kena pusing?
Kena pusing.
Kena pusing kan? Bukan getar. Dia kena getar dan pusing sekali.
Ya.
OK, thank you.
Mau pusing.
Bukan macam ni. Pusing macam ni.
Mau pusing.
Peter, pad 愛轉或者唔愛轉咧？
OK，machine design 出嚟係已經叫咗 dual action，係要轉嘅。有啲人講要轉，bullshit，最重要係你眼睇燈，係咁簡單。
So 轉係唔需要轉啦，
唔需要睇過嘅，嗰啲係心理問題。
心理問題。Polish with a DA, is it important for the pad to spin?
Yes, the cutting will be more if it spins. If it stalls, there will still be cutting, but maybe diminish a bit lah.
Alright, so on the internet, actually many people complain a lot about stalls, right? Whether they call it pad stall or DA stall. And there are actually three types of stall, right? The first one we're going to talk about is orbital stall, which is where the pad does not transfer the orbital movement to the bottom as efficiently. So while the orbital, the backing plate is spinning like this, at the bottom of the pad, maybe it's spinning slower, right? So this is probably due to the thickness of the pad. As you can see, these are rotary pads. And when we compare them to DA pads, you can see they're thinner. So the DA pads are thinner so that they can efficiently transfer the orbital motion to the bottom of the surface. So get the right pad for your machine. Now in this video, we're not really going to be focusing on the orbital stall. We're going to be focusing on the rotational stall. This is a stall that, as I mentioned, most people complain about. And they do have a right to complain, right? Since it is called a dual action polisher. So it should orbit and rotate at the same time. Dual action, right? But is it that important? Let's test it out. So first, I'm going to demonstrate how do we get rotational stall. As you can see, when I start to press, the pad spins slower, right? If I lift the machine a little bit to reduce the pressure, you can see that the pad spins faster. Or if I press on a certain angle, on a different angle, when it's angled, the pad will stop spinning or slow down significantly. This is especially prominent when we are polishing concave angles. Alright, so what I have here is a polished panel. I'm going to introduce a controlled amount of defects with 2000 grit sandpaper. So I'm just going to be sanding 2 spots. I'm going to give it an equal amount of strokes, and I know it's not perfectly controlled, but I'll try my best to be as consistent as possible, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20. Okay. Okay. Alright, so on one part, I'm going to be polishing to maximize for rotation, and on the other part, I'll be polishing to, as usual, you know, I'll be applying a little bit of pressure and to get maximum surface contact of the pad to the surface. Okay, stop. So as you can see, there's an immediate difference in terms of the polish residue. This part is a little bit more wider and this is more transparent. Okay, on this panel, as you can see, this is the one where I did not put pressure on the machine and where I am maximizing rotation of the pad. As you can see, there's still quite a lot of sanding marks. That's number one. Number two is you can still see quite a lot of micro marring, the orbital recut from the abrasive. Alright, so this is actually not recut. If I were to slide onto the other side where I applied pressure, okay, this is good. Let me just get it in focus. Alright, so on this part, you can see we managed to remove quite a lot of sanding marks. The funny thing is I applied pressure on this part, but the micro marring is finer. This is because the optimal polishing performance has managed to break down the abrasive. Okay, so I'm just going to demonstrate again on an actual car. Here we have a Proton X70. On this rear quarter panel, you will see that there's a slight concave curvature on this panel right here. So what I'm going to do here first, I'm going to just scratch it up with our more traditional compound, which is number 50, and on a rotary and a micro wool pad. And you're seeing a lot of holograms and rotary swirls right now. Yep, that's beautiful. Alright, so I'm going to try to remove these defects with our NaO38, our DA, and our micro finishing wool. The pad is primed. So the difference now is I'm going to try to polish to maximize rotation rather than pressure or speed or things like that. Speed will be kept constant at speed 3. So here we go. And hopefully you can see the pad spinning from these black marks around the pad. All right. Alright, so when I'm trying to polish to maximize rotation, on some spots where I felt that the pad slowed down in rotation, I kind of lifted the pressure so that it spins even faster. So I'm just going to wipe it down with IPA and let's check out the results. Alright, so as we can still see some tiny scratches, although most of the holograms or rotary swirls are out, but not all of the scratches have been removed. So now I'm gonna redo the process. I'm just gonna recreate the swirls with the same combination. Now the difference is when I'm going to be polishing the DA right now is I won't really care about the rotational spin of the pad. Okay, I'm going to focus on maintaining maximum contact with the paint and applying pressure, which maintains maximum contact, right? Because the primary polishing action comes from the orbiting action and not the rotational action from a free spinning DA. Okay, here we go. Speed 3 is the same. Alright, we can even see that the polish took a shorter time to break down. As you can see, the residue is kind of transparent and clear. Compared to the first time where I did to maximize rotation, you can still see the residue is kind of cloudy and whitish. So this one, we can say that the polishing cycle for this has been completed faster, depending on where you're watching this from. Right, so it's pretty obvious for free spinning DAs such as ours, or even for any other brands for that matter, that the primary polishing action comes from the orbiting or oscillating action and not really from the rotational action. So do not worry if your pad isn't spinning while you're polishing with a free spinning DA such as ours. So no worries, just keep on polishing, maintain maximum contact, apply pressure and maintain maximum contact with the pad and the surface that you're polishing. Now the third stall we're going to talk about is machine stall. Right, so a machine stalls basically means the machine is slowing down the primary movement of the machine, which in this case is a rotary polisher. So when we have, whether it's an air polisher or an electric polisher, it tends to bog down or slow down the primary movement. So in this case, when I apply pressure, the machine tends to slow down, and the user usually has to compensate with increasing their speed or by reducing pressure to maintain the rotation, right? So if it doesn't rotate, since it doesn't orbit and there's only one motion, if it doesn't rotate, it doesn't cut. So for example, also for the same for air polishers, when it stops spinning, it stops cutting. So if you can afford using a better torque machine, a higher torque machine, do get it so you don't have to really compensate. And which is why I kind of respect the older polishers, you know, older detailers, where they do not really have a choice and they are used to these kind of machines and they can still polish using these kind of lower torque machines. So yeah, that's what I would call machine stall. Alright guys, so if you liked the video, please give us a like, share and subscribe if you haven't. And if you have any other topics that you would like us to cover, please put it in the comments section below. And I'll see you in the next one.